welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
I'm Elaine.
And as always, we have a craft and a crime. And we actually haven't recorded in a little while.
Yeah, it's been a little
like
busy.
2
weeks.
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah, we recorded when Sandra was first here. And then I just enjoyed the rest of my vacation. Well, his vacation with him. And now he's gone. He left on Monday and it is Friday now. So it's been a while. And then my whole family got sick with like a cold.
We escaped it somehow, which was weird because I was literally hugging and kissing Lily.
Yeah.
Like she was so sweet to me that day. Now I know why, because she didn't feel good.
She didn't feel good. She had icky tummy. No, it's just like some sort of like head cold, sinus cold, because it was like all of my sinuses. So if I sound a little congested, it's like the tail end of it.
Yeah,
I'm feeling a little
and
better.
allergies are terrible. 4th of July just happened, so like all the sulfur and magnesium and smoke and all that crap is like added extra to the normal pollution.
Man, but that was so fun, 4th of July.
Oh my god, it was so cool.
I know, you were like, it's like Disneyland. Because
yeah, but I'm not crying.
Oh, we had the patriotic music going.
Well, seriously, every time Disneyland fireworks, like we've both been super fortunate to have been able to go a lot, but I would still cry every time.
Yeah,
the fireworks, because they're always like about wishes and dreams and living your best life, and I'm like,
and then Tinkerbell flies over the castle,
and then it's always like couples are all precious and stuff, and like unfortunately, most of the time, I have gotten to go to Disneyland with my husband, I think 3 times. But it's always been like family. My mom, my sister. Yeah. This last time, my youngest got to go the first time. But yeah, so we're just dying, and they're like, "This is better than Disneyland," and it was free.
It was fun. Yeah, it was free. Well, our sparklers weren't.
Yeah,
so
our
expensive.
stuff was not ridiculous, but also like it does suck too because prices everywhere else aren't like they are here. Comparing prices with my family and friends in Oregon, I was like, golly.
I know.
And like my dad got fireworks from their store in the Pacific Northwest. It's called Bi-Mart. It's like a little members owned thing, and I love that store and I always talk about it, but they actually sell fireworks in stores. Like the laws are so different,
but like not firecrackers, like fireworks.
Yes, real
so
fireworks.
Like the ones that the cops are driving around here that like you can't, because you can't shoot off those.
No, like the packages we bought, but you can't buy those at Walmart. You can't go in Walmart and buy.
But yeah. No, I meant like fire. I think firecrackers is like the little ones on the street where you light them and they crackle and stuff. But then the fireworks are like the ones that shoot up into the sky.
Yeah.
And so that's what like we got.
I wonder
both.
if that's like a regional thing.
I don't know.
Like, for me, I'm like fireworks are
we
fireworks.
We always say fireworks, but I guess maybe they are just fireworks, and then it's because we call it the fireworks stand.
There's a lot of laws actually for those little crackly ones that go on the ground. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. There's like a certain law about areas that you can use them in and stuff, and it's just really interesting. But you know what I just thought of? I bet everybody at the hospital got an amazing show.
Oh, I know. Wide open window.
Just like,
oh my gosh, they were
never sleeping. The poor things.
I know. No, in the area we're like real close to a hospital, and there's
everybody shoots off illegal fireworks.
Oh, it was so cool.
It was.
It really was. Although our husbands didn't get any sleep, and they had to
but you know what
so
though?
early.
It was so funny because I was like, was it us? Like I was talking to Kurt. I was like, because we're right there by the window.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, of course not. He's like, I always encourage you guys to have fun. He's like, it wasn't you guys. He's like, it's just the fireworks never stopped.
Yeah,
the huge ones, the
big
mortar ones that shoot up. They just did not stop. And then we all went to bed at like 10:45, and they kept going. Until like going. 3.
I loved it.
4.
I love it.
I did too.
It was so cool when we were
when
we were sitting there, because like as we've said before, we live right next to each other, so it was like half on. Well, we were on our driveway, so it was like right by your grass,
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, and we had the perfect view of like those 2 houses. I swear they were dueling because like
seriously.
the one house would light off a bunch in the sky,
and
I
I
swear
the other one
would.
Only 2. It probably was only about 2 houses down from each other.
Yeah,
maybe 3.
Yeah,
so still the same neighborhood. And you know what I remembered? That's the one that has no trees.
Oh yes, that street has no trees.
Because we are so lucky. Our street is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah,
with a million trees lining the whole thing. So it gives us a lot of shade. And unfortunately, that neighborhood. Sorry, I'm clicking the pen. No. I told you I would.
Give me the pen.
I left my
know. I heard the one click.
But yeah, there's no trees on that side. So
I forgot about that. That makes sense.
Because Kurt was thinking about it, but allegedly. But you know, we have a lot of trees, and it made him nervous.
We do. There's a lot of trees on our street and the street behind us. But yeah, I forgot about that. But no, 4th of July was so fun.
It was
really fun. That one part where it was like, is this the grand finale? No, it was just like the halftime show.
A lot.
It was the halftime.
And I'm so excited because I always look at the holidays the year in advance. And so next year, the 4th of July is on a Thursday.
Yeah.
And so my husband's job gives him 4-day weekends. So that means he'll be able to stay up late with us.
Yeah.
Hopefully
I'm going to
Jackson do the same thing. Or at least be like, take off that day now.
Yeah. Put it way in advance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've been enjoying family and 4th of July. And, yeah, we did a lot when Sandro was here. He left the day before 4th of July, so he had to because...
I was so surprised there weren't more fireworks, but, like, that weekend...
Oh, I know.
Before, but it's probably because they're just so expensive. I think they just saved them all.
That house behind us had that party.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't really do a lot of fireworks, but... they gotta hear Sandro's music. All this German
they gotta
rap
hear
music.
our bullshit. Like,
yeah, all the time,
2 weeks in a row.
I was in your garage just cackling. I know.
And then in your backyard, just like whooping it up when our friend came over and we got to meet his partner, and she was so awesome and we had a ton of fun, but we were up way too late and we were so loud.
Well, not me.
Okay, we were all loud because we were having to yell over everyone yelling.
Yeah, my throat. That's when we started to get sick because I was like, man, my throat hurts. And we were like, oh, we were just yelling, and it was a lot of like smoke and stuff.
The dirty air makes you more susceptible to the sneeze on a breeze.
Yeah, then we got sick. Yeah, it was bad. Lily got it bad, and then Jack, and then I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. And it was like right after Sandro left.
A summer cold is the poopiest.
It is because you're like hot and then cold.
Heaven forbid you have to go outside to do anything because then you really feel how sick you are because the heat makes it worse.
And we did get it was weird because our weather went from really cool to really warm really fast.
That's typically when that hits.
Yeah,
it's like the change
and
in
so
humidity.
I got sick and I unfortunately lost a lot of my rabbits, I think, to the shock of the heat. And we try to keep them cool.
In the 70s
to 100.
Over 100.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
In like 2 days.
Everything you try to do, it's the bare minimum and it sucks. It's like, it's crazy. I know like Texas is having unprecedented heat. I saw a news article that I meant to click and it was like world's hottest day on record. So
I saw that.
Did you click it?
It was like July 3rd or something like that, wasn't it?
So it's crazy.
I don't know. But yeah, it's been really hot here. And so we've lost, 1, 2, 3, 4 rabbits to the heat and over 2 days
with
and
fans and ice water, frozen bottles.
We have an industrial fan. It is so loud. And frozen
like
ice.
The kind you put in warehouses.
Yes, it is.
Nice.
It came from the warehouse when it closed down from Jack's old position. So it's hot. The
chickens are doing okay. Surprisingly, this is like my chickens and your youngest chickens first. Summer first feeling of this. So maybe, and I'm thinking it sounds terrible, but their very first, it's gonna toughen them a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we have
yeah, yours hatched yesterday.
Yes,
and the day before,
and the day before, and the night before. Yeah, the night before. So
this is when it started.
Yep. So we got 6 total hatched out of 12 eggs. So that's really good, actually, especially for a rare breed that are really fussy. So I talked about them before, but they are the I am Samani eggs. And the hens and roosters that I got that made the eggs are like show quality, so it's gonna be really fun to see. And we had to rescue a chick from the egg. She was like so glued in, and she's the tiniest one. She's the runt too, which is probably why that happened. She's still a little kind of crusty today because we can't get them wet. You don't clean them like that, and so they prune they preen themselves, and their sisters will help them out. But she's so tiny, but dude, they are so feisty. They're like running around and exploring. They moved to the little playground that my mom got them, and they've been looking in the mirror. Like they can't hop up. I don't think they're coordinated. I don't know how long that takes, but
pretty quick because in 1 week they're pretty big.
And so they're loving it because it's very warm in the garage, which is what they need. Exactly. So they're like running around. They're getting to explore a bit because it's kind of a big little playpen we have them in.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. And then I have 15 random chicken eggs from my chickens. And
that hopefully
your
my rooster, which he's beautiful,
Yeah,
even though he's
he
a
is.
jerk, but he's beautiful.
Yeah,
Me. So his sassiness, which is kind of crappy because that means it's like poopy temperament.
I know. No, I just think it's typical rooster. It's not the first rooster.
And we went in
attacked.
another time, and he was okay. So he's being moody, and territorial that day.
Well, it could have been because I was trying to put the leg bands on the quail because our quail are in our chicken run and raised up. They're not with the chickens. And I was trying to put the leg bands on to differentiate male and female. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he attacked me. And like attacked me, meaning like he jumped up on my arm and like, I mean, you've seen
they just fly and flap and kind of kick their legs.
And so he kind of got his legs. And
luckily he's young, so his spur isn't like out and ready or anything. Then he would have been tore up.
I got so scratched.
They were like
up.
the deep pressure scratches that don't like
because he put
his
his weight on me.
Yeah, they don't break the skin, but they hurt because they bruise deep and like scrape.
Yeah, he was. I almost wrung his neck then because he got within a centimeter, literally a centimeter, of my brand new tattoo that I got like 2 weeks ago with Sandro. No, it was like the week before, right? Yeah, it was the week before. We went on Tuesday, so it's like just over a week old.
No, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Tuesday was supposed to be the appointment.
Oh, that's right. And then it changed to Wednesday. Yeah, so it was like just over a week old, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, so
rude.
He just missed it, but it's all good. He'll not be with us much longer.
Boop, boop. Yeah, it's really hard to we can't find someone to take him.
Yeah, so
and I think I had someone, but they were a weirdo and then didn't get a hold of me.
Yeah,
so I was like, whatever.
Yeah, so that's just what's been going on.
Yeah.
That's what happens when we don't record for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
It's a lot more.
It's a lot more that's going on, but
everybody's okay. We're all good. We're doing good.
Yeah. Oh, chickens, and I have 35 35 quail eggs in the incubator as well. So I think I went a little overboard.
But at least you can sell them.
Yeah. So
we'll see. A lot of people around in this area in the group that we're in on Facebook talks about them. Has been asking about them more.
Yeah.
Seems like something that's picking up.
Yeah.
For Christmas, I'm going to get you the Celadon quails so that you'll have blue ones.
I love them so much.
They are so
I know.
pretty.
I get some pretty light eggs and those green ones.
I love that brown one. It's like it looks like beach sand. It's like dark brown with a bunch of it's the only one.
Speckles.
The only one. It's so weird when they lay it and the bloom is like so totally different. It's interesting.
Yeah. You know what's weird is if you get a really heavy bloom, it's going to mess with your senses because it gets chalky feeling. It's almost like we had a chicken that like I couldn't grab her eggs because they were so chalky that it was like
touching a microfiber cloth.
It's
all oh my gosh.
So
ugh.
Yeah,
it was funny though
because not fun.
When I was misting the inside of the incubator to raise the temperature in the very beginning or the humidity, I'm sorry, in the very beginning before they were going to start hatching, it got like a heavy droplet on one of the eggs and it like wiped the bloom off and it was so weird.
Oh yeah.
It was like a little pale spot, like a drip, like if you had a spray tan and like it like rinsed off.
You know what's crazy is the quail eggs. I didn't know this before, but quail eggs, I can actually scrub off the
dots.
The dots.
Are the dots the bloom?
I guess. I don't know. I didn't research it.
Put it underwater and like scrub them.
But yeah, one was all like, it just had like poop on it. And so I was like, ew, let me like wash that off before I pop it in the fridge. And it was like, where the spots go?
Oh my God. Wait, totally like a totally white.
Yes, it wiped it off. And it was just like this tan color underneath. And I was like, what? I'll have to show you.
That's hilarious.
I only have like maybe one or two, probably only maybe 2 or 3 eggs that I've ever had to wash off.
Yeah.
And one of them I had to kind of scrub because it was like dried on there. And I was like, oh my gosh, where'd the spots go?
You can't just like flick it.
Yeah. So anyways,
crazy.
We've been talking for a while.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, 14 minutes of listening to us talk about chickens again.
Mine's really short.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
But I want to make sure that I have this article pulled up. So today, my topic is on origami.
Ooh,
And you know what's
origami.
crazy? It's like I keep following my paper theme, and it's because I'm like, this is the stuff I like. But I will preface it by saying origami is another thing I cannot do.
Oh my gosh.
I am so bad at it.
We should try it on Mommy's After Hours because I
Okay.
have, if you don't know, follow us on Patreon. It's only $5. You can try it free for a week, see if you like us. But seriously,
Yeah.
follow us. It's a lot of chit chat if you like the chit chat and stuff.
And there will be extra stuff there
And
too.
games. We play games and stuff. But yeah, I have origami kits for the kids. Like the whole stack of little origami papers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should totally try.
I
I'm not good at
have
it either.
I'm not at all. I have a children's version, and I can't do that either. But the papers have they're like animal shapes. When you finish folding it, it's like a frog.
Yeah,
that's
we
green with
have,
the eyes
like,
and everything.
The basic origami. Then we have like the flowers one, and Avery's made me some flowers for like
Yeah.
a present. And then we have a Star Wars one.
Oh, that's cute. My
So-
mom is so freaking good at it.
Really?
Yes, one of the favorite
Of course
things.
she is.
I know. But she's just like us, where she like tries all these hobbies and then she's good at them.
I know. It's like the stuff that I'm not good at, my
But
mom's really good
It's
at.
funny because like I can't crochet. My mom's really good at it.
I
So is-
can't
so
paint.
is
my mom's really good
sister.
at painting.
I can't either. My mom's really good at it. All right, moms, calm down.
I'm okay at sewing, but my mom's really good at it.
Same.
And beadwork, my mom did a whole pillow. I probably could have done that, but I just don't have the patience.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about origami.
Origami.
It's a chatty day. Sorry.
Yeah, we're all hyper
We
and
haven't seen
excited.
each other all day.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
Yeah.
So, what it originally started out as being called orikata, meaning folded shapes, and it's traced back to ancient Japan, and it was actually a really important skill for the aristocrats and high-ranking soldiers in society in Japan. And it was developed for things like money, notes, poetry, and fans. And like all those things we still use today. And it's kind of funny because, that's a lot of ways that, like, I see them a lot for graduation gifts. Is like the money lays.
Oh,
like,
yes,
pretty
where they
little
put
shapes.
them.
And
Yeah.
I think that's so cute, and I could never.
So I couldn't. But yeah, people were requesting that a lot this year.
I know. I see it locally, and it's pretty fun. So, origami from orikata came around the 1880s when they changed the words ori for paper and kami to fold, and then it just changed to origami with a G. I don't know why. It didn't say. So while there's no concrete evidence to origami before the 1600s, there is a poem about origami butterflies from 1680, and it suggests that it was very common. So it had to have been something that was a known craft and an art before this. Two of the earliest books with written instructions for origami are Tsutsumi no Ki by I'm so sorry.
I know. I hate it.
Saratake Issei in 1764.
Oh, okay.
And Sembazuru Orikata by Asisato Rito in 1797. So Tsutsumi no Ki had instructions for 13 different ceremonial folds. And I will include pictures of that on the Instagram. And it seems like they are really just beautiful ways of folding paper for decorations for religious ceremonies, shrines, temples, things like that. And the Sembazuru Orikata had instructions for folding 49 linked cranes. And the cranes look like a chandelier in the picture that I saw.
I could picture it.
So it's like, they connect them from, I believe it was the tail end. And so it connected down, and I'm assuming it was something that was going to be hung up. As we've talked about, if you listen to our last episodes, about paper making, paper originated in China, but then it was brought over to Japan. And just like throughout basically history until the modern era, paper was really expensive. And so it was only saved for the rich and for religion and these formal ceremonies at the time.
Okay.
During the Edo period, which is around 1603 to 1868 in Japan, origami became more widespread because when China brought over the technique I had originally talked about, that paper in itself had become cheaper to make.
Okay.
And so Japan started their own version, and their paper became washi paper. So if you do crafting,
I have washi
a
tape.
lot exactly, and it's a special kind of paper made from mulberry.
Okay.
Because
like what I have.
exactly,
Oh,
because
okay.
the leaves of the mulberry plant, and I'm guessing probably just the leaves, end up very long and fibrous, and it's able to make that paper super thin because it holds the fibers together, so they're able to pound it out very thinly. So at this point, a lot more types of formal gift wrapping popped up, along with envelopes and little paper purses that were given in more what we would consider, quote unquote, the average society could do this. Like, I give a gift to you of like some kind of present, and I would wrap it up really beautiful inside of like an origami purse or paper. I remember my mom used to make these little, like, I called them balloons because you would kind of blow air into them, and it was like a perfect little ball, and it was so cute. And I imagine something like that probably.
Well, there's like a dry shampoo and conditioner I used to get all the time. I haven't gotten it lately now that my hair is all different colors. And it was like wrapped up almost like origami style, where it like you twist it, and it would like it's the way it was like folded. It was like a little present.
Yes, it exactly
and then you untwist
is
it,
origami.
Okay.
Yeah. And because paper is so strong and resilient, that these folds can be made in such a way that it becomes nearly indestructible into its final figure, in its final shape. It becomes extremely tough.
Okay.
So, origami did not change throughout pretty much the history, and it kept going, and it became cheaper and cheaper as the Industrial Revolution happened for everybody, and so paper became more affordable, and it became something as like all of the paper I keep talking about. It's like feminine and beautiful and womanly, and but it did stay the same. So we're going to move to modern times, and Akira Yoshizawa is considered the father of modern origami, and he developed the standard of this folding technique and these really precise diagrammed instructions for everybody to do.
That's what I can't follow.
And they're very hard for me too. And it's interesting because in the past, cutting was allowed in origami with a specific kind of scissors that, from what it sounds like, they're like a saw. I'm not sure. It was interesting. And so you were allowed to make cuts, but then it kind of became seen as, well, if you're really good at it, you don't need to cut to make those folds because you're getting to the point where those folds are really tight and very difficult. So sometimes it's easier to just cut that piece out. It's not anything that's like frowned upon even now, but it's part of the skill, and part of the art is not needing to do that.
And so
sense. He avoided that, and he preferred what was a wet folding technique that made much softer lines, and it is made by just very lightly dampening the paper, and you're able to fold it softer and kind of curved and round, and these things end up looking more like these really beautiful sculptures of paper, and they're all just folded. Something I'm going to read directly off of the website because I don't want to fudge it up, and then I'm also going to post a video that I watched on YouTube. And it excuse me, origami is still super popular, but science has been able to use origami in a lot of ways, and a lot because it's math and engineering. The whole process is of perfect shapes from just a square, and how you continue to make those patterns. So an example of this is the addition of solar panels on spacecrafts. During launch, scientists needed to find a way of getting these panels into a compact space very safely while being able to return them to their full size once it was in outer space, but it had to fit in a small spot. The solution came from Japanese astrophysicist named Korya Miura. He was really amazing at origami, and he created an original crease pattern that was just named the Miura fold. This technique allowed a piece of paper to be folded into a very small shape, but then when held at both ends and pulled, the paper unfolded completely to flat.
Oh.
So imagine like an accordion, and it like twists in on itself. And I will also try to find that, but I think it is partially shown in the YouTube video, that will be in the sources.
Okay.
Yeah. But I will try to find a picture. And so this inspired the method that was used for the solar panel on spacecrafts, and it was used first on a Japanese satellite in 1995.
Oh, wow.
And it's really interesting because now it's turned almost very funly, but what I've been reading is like in a competitive way, because it's so mathematical.
Yeah.
So engineers and astrophysicists are the ones that are like professionals, and I think that's amazing and really fun because they literally take what they love and are the best at and have turned it into, they are able to transpire that into art, and I think that's super cool too. And honestly, that's kind of it. Yeah, but I have a couple little fun facts.
Oh yay, my favorite.
Yeah. November 11th, which is also Veterans Day here, and my mom's birthday, is actually national, but like worldwide Origami Day. And it's actually celebrated over there, and they have fun, and they do origami together, and it's a big decorative thing. So I'm sure there's lots of little cranes and stars, and I love that. So apparently, folding 1,000 paper cranes is believed to fulfill your wishes.
What?
So I'm thinking, I know, right? So I'm thinking it's probably like a very meditative, like fold the crane, and you're like putting your wish, and supposedly when you fold 1,000, your wish will come true.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can it be a group project? What if we have the same wish?
You can all put it in together, maybe.
Yeah, get 1,000 people to wish the same thing.
Right? We each do one and put it together. Ta-da!
Yeah.
So, here's my last fun fact, but it's super cool. The fastest folding time of 100 cranes is in 40 minutes and 35 seconds.
Wow.
So it's an average of 24.35 seconds per crane. And it was done by Yonayama Yuichi in Nagoya, Japan on November 30th. Did I write that right? I think I did. November 30th, 2010. And he is in... No, it's not that long ago at all. And he was a student. He looks youngish. And it's in the Guinness Book of World Records.
That's cool. I gotta... Troy, so every year Troy gets the Guinness Book of World Records for Christmas. Yeah. So I just need to tell him, get the book out. I want to see.
Oh my gosh, that's
sometimes
so funny.
It's just a name is listed, but sometimes there's a picture that goes
like a little paragraph.
It.
Well, I'll have his picture. I saved it.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be in the Instagram post for this. So I'll have a few.
Well,
and that's it.
That's interesting. I was going to say, I remember watching an episode of Mythbusters where they were saying how many times you could fold a piece of paper.
Oh, yeah, because there's like, because
you can only fold it so many times.
But I don't remember if it was a square, but they were saying like it's impossible to fold it over X amount of times because it was like you have to fold it in on itself over and over. And I think it was like 13
at some point it gets
over
too
12.
thick where you
It's
can't.
like not that many.
And they tried it with small paper, medium, and then like the giant like football field size like piece of paper.
That's fun.
And so I was like, oh, that's kind of like origami. You gotta like how many times can you fold it in this corner or whatever. So,
and I'm not great. It's funny because a lot of the crafts I do are pretty freehand, and while I do know millimeter measurements and things like that, that stuff matters. And I am not that great with a ruler. And it's another reason, excuse me, why I don't sew like with a machine that much.
Oh.
Because with patterns, I'm like, I'm going to fudge it up.
No, the easiest
measure
thing
twice,
to learn
cut
is
once.
Yeah. Tell my husband that. No, I'm kidding. No, we'll sew. I'll teach you. The easiest thing you could probably do is like a rag quilt because it's literally just sewing straight lines and squares.
Yeah.
It's
I
the
can make a
easiest.
pillowcase.
Yeah, if you can make a pillowcase, you can make a rag quilt.
Oh,
Rag
yeah.
quilts were like a big deal like 10 years ago.
I remember.
Yeah, I had made like a bunch, and the daddy blanket that's out.
Mm-hmm.
The daddy blanket.
Yeah.
We call it the daddy blanket because I made it for Jack for Christmas
Mm-hmm.
one year, and it's a rag quilt.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's the daddy blanket, and everyone fights over it.
They do.
It's nice. It's like 10 years old, but
Yep.
it's a nice blanket.
It's held up. What is it?
And then-
What's it called? That like softy cozy fleece or something they call it.
It's flannel.
Yeah. Oh, is that
It's
what
flannel,
the
yeah.
Gotcha.
And then Troy has the Minecraft one on his bed
Mhm.
that he uses. And then Avery has one that's got like flowers and stuff. But yeah, that was so 10 years ago. But,
Yeah. I'm like I still have the one that you made for Lenore.
oh yeah, I
Mhm.
forgot. I'm
This-
like, I made Lenore
I
a lot of
think
stuff.
it's- yeah, and I think it's packed in a box that's in the garage.
Mm.
All together with all the little baby stuff.
Yeah. Okay, well.
Let's bring it on down.
I know. One of us has to do it. And
I will next time.
I know. You got next week. This time it's my turn. Okay, so this is a case about Tequila Sutter. So,
Tequila, like the drink? Oh,
mhm,
okay.
but her name is Tequila Sutter.
Okay.
So who is she? Tequila was born on November 13th, 1987 in Oakland, California to Carnell Go and Sharon Sutter. When she was young, her family then moved from California all the way to New York, and she began her work career with, I got a lot of this from her, well, spoiler alert, obituary. So
Okay.
she began her career with Presbyterian Nursing Home as a dietary aide, and then later worked at Happy Times Daycare. Tequila moved to Lackawanna, New York, and worked at Baker Victory Services as a mentor and counselor for young children.
Oh.
She was really involved in her church, Hills Tabernacle, and never missed a Sunday, like ever. And she was actually studying for a degree in criminal psychology and child psychology. So at the time of these events in 2015, Tequila was 26 years old. She had a boyfriend named Damani, and one of her closest friends, I watched a show, I'll put it in the show notes. Her friend was saying like she was just so excited that she had a boyfriend to share Valentine's Day with.
Oh.
I know, it's like if you're single and then it's like I finally have someone to share Valentine's Day with. So she was like excited. So right around that time, she had tried to make a purchase, but her card was declined, which she thought was strange. So then she looked into it further and saw that some money had been withdrawn, which was really strange because it wasn't her. So on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2015, it was a Friday around 3:30 p.m., Tequila called the Lackawanna Police Department and she reported the card fraud. And the officer that took the phone call told her, like, he'd look into it on Monday when he came back to work. Because it was, like, the kind of the end of the day on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like, okay, card fraud. I'll look into it.
Yeah.
2 days after Tequila had called into the police station, her friend Kalima went to pick her up at her apartment to take her to church.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no answer when her friend was knocking on the door. And this was very unlike Tequila. And she was always the one to be ready to go to church, and as we know, she never missed a Sunday. So Kalima knew that this behavior was not normal, and so she decided to call Tequila's brother to come to the apartment to make sure that everything was okay. So he shows up, and he was able to use his key to let himself inside of her house. And immediately he saw that he needed to call 911 because he had just found his sister brutally murdered.
Oh, no.
So it was clear why she didn't answer the door. So Detective Brian Lasco from Lackawanna Police Department was assigned to the case, and when he arrived, he found the victim face down on the bedroom floor in a pool of dried blood. There were obvious signs of multiple stab wounds, and the other detective on the scene recognized her name. He recognized her as the woman who called in the report for fraudulent activity on her bank account. He had just talked to her 2 days before.
Yeah.
When detectives took a closer look, they noticed that there were multiple stab wounds to her body, and they all appeared to be intentional and very, very brutal. And they also noticed that there should have been more blood at the scene for the type of injuries that she sustained, which was weird.
Yeah.
So this kind of showed that like the crime scene must have been like cleaned or something at some point,
Gotcha.
because they're like there with the amount of stab wounds that she sustained, and obviously various areas of her body, there should be more blood. So detectives knew that since there had to be more blood at the scene than what was apparent, they needed to use luminol. As we know, it's like you spray the luminol, it'll light up if blood is detected.
Is it like peroxide based? It's something like hydrogen peroxide, I swear.
I should know this.
You should.
It's been years since
I'll go Google it later.
Yeah, it's been years since I
honestly
worked
we
through
both
my master's
should know,
degree, and I know
considering
I'm
how
just
much
like
we've
my
watched everything.
my brain does not want to work that out right now. I can't remember what's in luminol, but basically it will light up. You spray luminol, a light coating, and it'll light up where there's blood. So sure enough, the entire bathroom was, and like it was just full. Like
Gotcha.
there was blood.
So it happened there.
There was blood everywhere, bedroom, bathroom, everywhere. The entire crime scene has been clearly cleaned up.
Okay.
So detectives at this time were searching for witnesses, and Tequila's apartment was like on a side street, and so there were no cameras there, but there were cameras like on the health center on the corner. And so detectives were hoping that like someone would be seen coming or going from her apartment on this camera. And so this surveillance footage was accessed just one day after her murder on February 15th. So she was murdered on the 14th. They get this footage.
That sucks. Right on Valentine's Day.
I know. And the footage was not what they were hoping for. Kind of like the last one that I covered, where it's like just not great footage. But this is the angle. So the angle of the surveillance camera was cutting off her front door, so you couldn't see who was coming in or out. It was just too, like, the angle was just wrong.
Sucks.
So at autopsy, it was found that Tequila had 39 stab wounds to her body.
Golly.
Some of which were to her neck, and that is what caused her death. It was very clear that this was an intentional act. You don't just randomly stab someone 39 times. So, of course, her boyfriend, Damani, was interviewed. And it was, as always, they have to look at the person closest to that person, whether it's a family member or a husband, a wife, whatever. So they're looking at Damani, and so they bring him in to be interviewed. And he was like really quiet and mild-mannered. He was also a church person, so he would go to church too, and he appeared very polite. And when detectives asked him about Tequila's death, he says that he was at church when he actually heard about her death. And
like at church waiting for her. I'm sorry, did they go to the same church?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
So he said that, he was at church and then he heard about like what happened to her. So he also said that they weren't really getting along at the time, and he thought that they might be in the process of breaking up.
Oh.
So he said that he last saw her on Saturday afternoon around 4:30 p.m. He said he left sometime between like 4:30 and 5, so around that time. And when he last saw her, she was talking on her phone. He said that she had her phone up to her ear and was talking as she walked into the kitchen. And then he said that he then went to Trade Mart down the street and called a friend. And then he went to this friend's house, and then he went to a train station. So detectives look up his alibi, and it's a very detailed alibi, and it checks out. And so everything that he said, the timeline shows that, okay, he is where he says he was.
Yeah.
And it's also found that he had been talking to her through Facebook Messenger and text messages after he had left. So in these messages, it was clear that like there were discussions about the breakup, and that's mostly what they were talking about. So it looked like they were going to break up.
Yeah.
So detectives then obtained the surveillance footage from Trade Mart that he said he was at.
I'm sorry, was it like a grocery store? Or
yeah, I think it's like a convenience store or something.
Not that, I'm just wondering.
So on February 15th, right before 5 p.m., Damani was seen on surveillance. He had a large, dark backpack, and he was carrying a white plastic bag. He is seen going to the counter, purchasing some items. He is then seen talking to someone, probably a friend. It's completely normal behavior. It didn't look like anything out of the ordinary, like anything had just happened. He was just acting normal. And on the surveillance, it also appears that he's like busy texting someone. So probably Tequila.
Yeah, probably.
And then he leaves for the bus. And then detectives know that their next move is to request the CCTV footage from the bus. And there's like 4 cameras, I guess, in the bus, like, people entering in, people in the back. So they knew they could verify what he was doing on the bus.
Sorry, I forget buses have cameras. They're just pretty conspicuous or inconspicuous. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So while they're waiting for that footage, they decide to look back on the withdrawals that Tequila had reported that were fraudulent on her account. And they find that the money was withdrawn from her account just 2 blocks away from her, and that the person who withdrew the money knew her PIN. So clearly it was someone she knew or someone that she was close to. And so when detectives went to the bank to retrieve the surveillance footage, they come to find out the surveillance footage, the equipment, not the footage, the equipment was not working.
Of course.
It's always not working. So they couldn't see who took out the money. So Detective Lasco had a new lead on the case. There was a colleague that was familiar with Tequila because someone he was monitoring, so this is another detective, someone he was monitoring was living with her. So this lady that this other colleague of his was keeping an eye on, monitoring, was living with Tequila. And this colleague suggested that maybe this woman could have been Tequila's killer. But however, this woman's alibi checked out. So she was ruled out as a suspect. So they're like, okay, now what? Because looks like the boyfriend's ruled out, the roommate or whatever is ruled out. There's not a lot of leads. But detectives remembered that the boyfriend had said that she was on the phone when she left. So there was actually no phone found at the scene. But phone records show that she had been texting Damani after 5 p.m. And so his story was matching up with that, as he stated. So they're like thinking, okay, well, where's the phone? If she, So the CCTV footage from the bus comes in. In the video, Damani can clearly be seen getting onto the bus. He sits down kind of towards the front, completely calm, and it looks like he's texting on his phone. So probably to Tequila. And everything he's doing, looks completely normal. And, he has that white bag with him, and he keeps pulling it close to him. I get it. You're traveling. You're probably like, oh, don't take my stuff or whatever. And then he leaves the bus with all the items, and he is only about a block away from his friend's house. So they're like, okay, this kind of checks out. So everything that he said, he took a bus and then he went to his friend's house. And so since there are no other suspects in this case, detectives decide to talk to Damani's friend Latifah, who he stayed with after he got off the bus, just to kind of see okay, so what was he like after he got off the bus? They're just trying to figure out if his entire story is
Does he
matching
seem
up.
weird? Was he sweaty? Was he fidgety?
Yeah,
Was
what did he have with them and all that kind of stuff. So
did he have blood on him?
Yeah. So Latifah said that he stayed with her Saturday night, and she said that her cousin was also staying with her. And so detectives talked to both of them to determine if his alibi, held any water, as well as, if there's any holes in his story. And both stated that he was there that night, and detectives asked what he showed up with and asked if he had a white bag. And both women said that he did not have a white bag when he showed up. And so detectives knew, that this bag probably had
something important,
sort of significance, since he was so protective of it on the bus.
Right.
And then now it's gone. He didn't show up with it.
Right.
So detectives knew that
you don't carefully keep track of something to lose
then
it.
Just not show up as your next destination with it. The only other place that you said you went. So the women also stated that Damani had 2 phones that he was using, and one was a black phone and the other was a white Samsung phone, just like what Tequila used.
Oh.
So detectives looked over the bus footage once again. So they're looking at it, scouring it again, just thinking, okay, what is the significance to this bag? Is he using 2 different phones? And so over the bus footage, they noticed that he was using another device. They didn't notice that before, and that he was hiding it in his jacket.
Oh.
So this looked like he clearly had a second phone, was trying to hide it. And so detectives confront him.
Sorry. He's using her phone to send fake messages from her phone to his phone.
Pretty much. It's like, yeah. So detectives confront him, and, they're like, what happened with this white bag? And what's with the second phone? And he said that when he got to the bus stop, he just found a phone on the ground lying in the snow.
Which, that can happen.
Yeah. And so, they were like, well, what happened with this phone?
Yeah.
He said, well, I just picked it up and I just took it with me. And he didn't think anything of it. He didn't think it was worth keeping, so he just threw it away.
That's rude.
Mm-hmm.
You just throw away someone else's phone. You go to the bus Sorry. I'm like, you go to the bus terminal. His story's crap, but, you turn it in. You tell the bus driver.
Yeah, here, I found this phone.
On the ground by the bus stop is
wasn't worth anything. Please.
Every phone is worth
something.
Jinx.
Yeah. So, but the 2 women said that he stayed, the women that he stayed with after the bus ride said he had 2 phones that he was using while he was there. So he had 2 phones. They stated that one of them was his phone and that the other was a white Galaxy Samsung phone. And of course, in this interview, he is stating that he only has his phone, he doesn't have a second phone, and that, of course, he has nothing to do with Tequila's death.
Of course.
So detectives are working hard to get him to talk about the crime and hopefully confess to talk about the crime. And he continually denies that he had anything to do with her murder. So detectives decide to turn to phone records to see if that can prove that he had anything to do with her murder.
It's so funny. I'm so sorry.
No,
it's just funny because I think we all forget that's a thing.
It is.
Just because everything is paperless and you don't see that, it exists. There is no such thing as hiding what you're doing. Even with a VPN, it just takes longer.
Yeah, it does. Everything can be traced.
Yep. Okay, sorry.
So, no, it's fine. So they look at the phone records, and it shows that at the time that Damani says he was talking to Tequila, they're texting back and forth.
Right.
She was already dead. Because, autopsy, they can find out time of
He
death.
has her phone.
Yes. So the medical examiner's time of death proved that, he couldn't have been, she wasn't texting him. She couldn't be. She was already gone.
Yeah.
And, so once they confronted him with this, then he asked for a lawyer. So detectives took it one step further, and they went to the bus stop and searched all the way from the bus stop to Latifah's place and looked in all the garbage cans, ditches, anywhere a bag could have been tossed.
Right.
And behind Latifah's house in the garbage, there was a bag of trash on top of the white bag that they were looking for. And inside of this white bag, they found a disposable mop head soaked in blood.
Get the heck out of here.
A woman's jacket with blood on it, men's clothing with blood on it, and 2 knives with blood on them. So immediately, Damani Hall was arrested and charged with Tequila's murder. So detectives quickly found the phone, and it was determined that it was never her that sent any of the messages. And while all of the blood-soaked items in the bag were processed, it was found that most of it belonged to Tequila, and some belonged to Damani.
Oh, so he got himself in the fight.
I think so,
whatnot. Yeah.
So the theory was that they got into an argument over the money taken out of her account, and then it turned violent, and he tried to clean up after the fact and take some of the evidence with him.
Right. Yep.
He then used her phone to send messages to himself to make it appear that she was alive when he was not in the area.
Yeah.
And so, he tried to cover it up, and he just couldn't. It sat over some money. I guarantee you that's all it was. And
you know what's totally messed up too? The most ridiculous part of all of it is you and I watch a lot of crime shows. You went to school for it. Crimes of passion have a lower sentencing time because unfortunately, they understand like emotions get heightened and we freak out. If you just tell the truth.
Yeah, this was he clearly tried to cover it up. He was doing all the text messaging and stuff to try to cover his tracks
as much as he could.
Yeah. So, in 2015, he actually pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, and so it didn't have to go to trial or anything. And he was sentenced to 20 years to life.
Yeah.
So
second degree, right, is because it's not premeditated, but he covered it up after. First degree is when you like plan it all out and then do it. Okay.
Yeah, it was like it could have been a crime of passion. Then he tried to clean up and stuff. So yeah. So I want to end this with our thoughts on Tequila and not on her murder or her murderer, because she had, it sounds like a very bright and cheery and happy and loving life.
Yeah. Sounds like she was going to do something super important for those kids she probably worked with.
I know, I got goosebumps right now. So in Tequila's obituary, and I will tag it in the show notes.
Okay.
Her family shed some light on the type of person that she was and how she should be remembered. So in her obituary, it says, quote, "She could always be counted on to help with anything in the church. Feeling God's calling on her life at the time of her passing, she was preparing her first ministerial sermon. Tequila was an energetic, compassionate, gentle, and loving person who was also a born leader. Her beautiful spirit was an inspiration to every life that she touched, and a multitude of her family and friends look forward to her uplifting words of encouragement that she sent out daily." And that is the life of, the horrible ending, but that is Tequila Sutter. So yeah, it's so frustrating when she clearly was,
all because of some damn money that is not important.
I know. Look at the chills I have.
And some crappy boyfriend. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm guessing she went to the cops and then she realized it was him, or she went to the cops and then he's like, "Why'd you tell the cops?" That's
maybe we just don't know. He didn't say anything. He just pleaded guilty, but he didn't really shed light onto what really happened. But it clearly was he probably wiped out her bank account. She probably had a lot of money, and he just wiped her out. And so
because maybe they truly have been talking about breaking up and whatnot. And
so he's like, "I'm going to take your money and go." And so it was crazy. But this was the first time I had heard of the story when I was researching it, and it kind of took me for a loop where I was like, "Oh my gosh," because he appears so innocent, but you can't take any alibi. That's just goes to show you can't take any alibi for what it. There's so many cases like that where it's like, "Oh, well, we followed up and the mom said he was home." Well,
and also,
can we follow up on that and really check?
Because mommies will cover for anything. Yeah. But also too, it's kind of funny because if you ask me what I did yesterday, I'd be like, "Oh,
I don't remember."
When you have a blow by blow perfect timeline, that's when I get suspicious. Because as a person, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna be like, "Okay, well, I did do this, but no, wait a minute, I took a shower." Like, you're gonna fumble. I get it, especially under pressure of a crime.
To have that many details. I left it this time. I went here. Then I talked to this person. Then I went here. Then I found a phone on the ground. And then it's like, that's usually innocent
covering
people.
Every angle.
Yeah. Usually innocent people are like, "Wait, I can't remember. Like, I don't even, what did I have for breakfast today?" Kind of thing. Where it's like, you're trying to think back of like, where were you?
You're not having to remember those exact details. You're not thinking about, I need to hold on to everything I did
Where
today.
sometimes people can.
For sure.
I mean, Jack's like that all the time. He can remember what I was wearing and what I ate for dinner and what time we got there, and I'm like, I don't even remember going there.
Exactly.
So some people can, but sometimes
under pressure in the spotlight, I find that very
and sometimes the more details are the more suspicious, because it's like, wow, that's a lot of details to follow up on, and a lot of details to, I guess.
Speaking of details, I totally remembered something.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely know what a mortar and pestle is, and I fucked it up
in
the John Roloff episode.
I told you I have it.
No. I know, but I flipped it.
A pestle and mortar?
I made it. The mortar is the grinding stick, and the pestle was the bowl. But I know what it freaking is. Yeah. Yes. It was the mortar he used.
Something.
The one that episode 11, I believe.
I have it pulled up right here. I could look. It was do I want to extend
I'm embarrassed because I totally missed it, and I was like, whatever.
Well, we record stuff. No, it's fine. we update you with our mistakes, so it's the correction space and episodes. So
Yes, it was. It premiered on the 4th of
episode
July.
11.
Yep, it premiered.
Oh.
Premiered. Yeah, Knitting and John Ruloff. So yeah, that
Okay.
was one little thing. And I was listening back to it, and I was like, oh, farts.
Oh man. Well,
Oh, well. So the
now you
listeners are going to
know.
be like, that's not right. What are you talking about? Stupid.
Well, join us in episode whatever this is.
Yeah, who knows?
I'm
18.
like, what is this episode?
We're going to be cranking them
I
out
know.
here soon because I'm going on
16,
vacation.
So it only took us so from 11 to 16.
5. I missed 5.
It's okay. Yeah.
Listen, we do the editing and we listen to ourselves, but we are also busy and it's hard and it's funny.
I
and
don't listen to us.
No, I don't really. That's
I
hilarious.
don't.
So
Sometimes I
forgive us
do.
because we're real and we still have daily lives
Yeah.
in a
I-
lot.
I got a lot of animals and kids.
I'm getting up to a lot of animals, not a lot of kids. So.
No. You could take some of mine sometimes. Although I'm 2 kids less this week because my parents took 2 of my kids.
Yay!
So I only have 2 kids for like a little while. But
Exciting.
anyways, well, with all of that, stay crafty.
And not cry me. Bye.
Bye.